There we go.
There we are, buddy. How was your week?
It's fantastic. I think with the election and everything going on, I try to leave politics out of it, but there was a lot going on. So having a new episode of Mandalorian was kind of like a
Star Wars is the great escape from reality for any situation. We can always go to Star Wars and refer back to it.
Exactly. So I think that was really positive, and just being able to stream both you and I. So it's been a great week.
How were the streams?
It was a lot of fun. Downloading new mods every single day. It's just kind of my excitement a little bit. Just kind of get creative with it. Every Friday we get the funny ones. So we had a Fall Guys, pineapple one, or Baby Yoda, or just just stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I play Battlefront 2. I'm starting to get really serious about leveling up the character. I know it doesn't mean anything, but
yeah.
I really want to get Iden max level, so I think by the end of the year I'm going to try to max Iden. It's a stretch, but as long as I commit to triple XP, it shouldn't be a problem.
I'm on the same level with you. I'm trying to get my Ahsoka, or what replaces Rey, as high as possible. My goal is by Christmas, so I think if we both just stay with it, just take advantage of double XP weekends and triple XP Wednesdays, it'll go fast.
Because I actually only play Battlefront pretty much when I'm streaming, but I'm going to start playing a little bit more because I can see the consistent playing. I'm starting to pick up multi kills and stuff instead of just singles, especially with the blaster heroes. My Leia gameplay and my Iden gameplay is a lot better than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just repetition. Yeah. It's a really fun game, and it being out since 2017, and it's still really having a strong place in a lot of our hearts is really important. Just keeping the game positive and alive. So I love that a lot.
So last episode we talked about the Marshal, and then we moved into this, and everything we talked about pretty much
it was completely different. The entire episode was so different than anything we talked about. So this is definitely way different than I expected. What our conversation was going to be. Yeah,
it picks up literally maybe 2 or 3 minutes after that episode ended, and then he's in the Tatooine Dune Sea. Driving his speeder bike, and then he runs into some I don't know, do you think they're bounty hunters or just thugs? Because they seemed like they were after the child. So
could have been more people with the clicker from season 1. Could have had that and we didn't see it. I thought what was really interesting about it though was it left off right where episode 1 left off, so we automatically assume he's gonna go right back to the ship and it's gonna be what we said, he's gonna encounter Boba, and that's exactly it. But it was nothing like that at all, and I'm kind of glad they did that because I will say this ahead of time, I don't consider this episode as action packed as episode 1, but I am glad in a way that the way they organize it, because it keeps people on their toes. Because if we got Boba right away in an episode 2 with a character development with him and stuff like that, there would be what's the rest of the season? You know what I mean? I kind of like how they're prolonging it a little bit. It keeps people on their toes and wants more.
Right. Yeah. In the lobby before we went live, you said that the first episode was kind of centered around Mando Din, and then this one is more of Baby Yoda's episode. So now we have the 2 main character episodes. So now things will start branching into everything else.
There's so much character development, I think, with both of them. But we never really had an episode focused primarily on the child. Literally, everything about this episode was him. We never saw him shuffle his feet like that, the way he did, little things like that.
He's pretty fast.
The way he interacted with things, and I think the humor side of things. I was saying this last episode that we had that Taika, one of the directors, he incorporated a lot of humor into season 1. Now we're actually getting these humor, this little funny side of both again, and that's just we're just getting nostalgia from season 1 and what we missed.
Yeah, definitely. So these thugs, they thought they had a chance. They used the old string in the middle of the road thing that you see in those old Disney cartoons. It didn't really work out though, because Mando has a jetpack, so he landed it. What'd you think about the fight? I thought the choreography was awesome.
Yeah, so it was funny because you and I said oh my god, he takes so many aggressive approaches. So I literally thought he was gonna hand him the jetpack. He walks away and he's just gonna blast him or something like that. But he did the complete opposite. He just let him go, and he just hit him with the jetpack. So that was funny.
He went with one of these numbers. I was like, oh, he's about to pull his blaster out and just pop him in the back. Nope.
Yeah.
Just do. And then
it was kind of similar to episode 1 when he has the creature hanging on the light post, whatever. He never killed him. He just put him in that situation, let other people take care of it, or let something else take care of it. So it's the same thing with this. He just let the jetpack take care of it, basically.
Again, I know he uses the armor to his advantage, but he took another round to the face. Like someone shot him right in the eye, right here. And then without the armor, though, he's done. Like, so it's like, is he using the armor to his advantage, or what is he without the armor? Because when we referred to it last few episodes, like he does get his butt kicked sometimes. There's a few times where he takes over his head.
Yeah. He takes beatings,
which I think is good, because then it just shows like he's not a Jedi. What heroes we're used to, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He could be beaten, so he has to be on his A game.
Yeah. No, I think his armor is like just something like that. I mean, we saw the difference between his armor from like episode 1 of last season to now his full Beskar armor, all that. So it looks, but he has taken beatings. You're right on that. He has, but he comes out on top.
Yeah, and then he did what probably none of us could do. He puts all of his gear on his back, and then hoofs it all the way back to whatever small city, the Mos Eisley, I think. I don't know what city it is.
Yeah.
And then he goes to his ally that it seems like she's going to be a reoccurring character throughout the series.
They've shown her before. We've seen Cara Dune or Moff Gideon or any of them, Grief Karga. So that's really interesting to me, because that was a character I did not think that was going to come back. And she's already had a huge role. Not a huge role, but her role was crucial in the small time that she got already in season 2. Without her, this whole entire episode wouldn't have really, took place, basically, with this with the frog lady, quote unquote.
Yeah, literally frog lady on IMDb. She's considered frog lady. They don't have a species for her yet. So when he walks in there, she's playing Sabak. So a good little nod.
I noticed that right away. That was like the first thing I noticed, and it was really cool because you've been to Galaxy's Edge before, so like there's a whole stand that they have where you can play Sabak against one of the merchants that like sell them. I actually purchased one. I actually have it like right over there. I can go get it if I want. But literally, like, so that was really cool. That was a cool little Easter egg. And
I was gonna buy that. And I was like, well, I'll just get it later. And then when they gave them to Target, I went to Target to go get it. And I got all the way home. I opened it up. It's regular playing cards with Sabak designs on it. I was so disappointed. It's not like the actual movie ones. So when I go back, I'll have to get that.
Well, yeah. And then so the ones I have, like, it comes with like over 100 of them. It's just because I got it right when quarantine started. So I've had no one to play with. So like, I'm just waiting for like all this to like clear up. Because I feel like it would be really fun. I'm still trying to like figure out how to play it, but
yeah.
But that was a cool little Easter egg, and obviously they have the cantina. I didn't have a chance to translate it, but I've always noticed in the past, every time they show the cantina, because they did in episode 1, there is a few Arabic letters on the top. I forgot what they mean, but they did show hint at some Easter eggs and stuff like that.
And you translated it, or you are translating it?
I translated it in season 1 because it was the same exact cantina. I have to go back and look at it, but like just like little things like that I've caught on to, that they throw hints at stuff. So
I was gonna, before I made quick clips, I was gonna make a YouTube video when I was gonna do a rewatch of the entire series, write down every Arubish I found, and then translate it all for a YouTube video. And I was like, oh man, that's gonna take like days and days to do, so I gave up on it. But that's a project one day I definitely want to do.
I did that within the films. In the Phantom Menace, when Anakin takes the Naboo starfighter, like his message appears and says like, "Oh, Anakin, head back right away." Like I literally spent like 15 minutes going letter by letter translating that. So that's like just fun stuff like that. You can have a lot of fun with it. But moving forward, like I said, so then what the caretaker sends them off.
Yes, so yeah, we're still in the cantina. So the alien that she's playing Sabak with is a Keelik species, and that's one of the original species ever created in the Star Wars universe. Like it's like before the Maul was even a thing. So like way back with the Ricotta and the Krell, like all those species, and they actually went to war this is in the comics, the Old Republic comics.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was a good nod. And then those species are recurring throughout all the comics, including the Swarm War and the Dark Nest Crisis, which is that would take place after Return of the Jedi. So they're very intelligent. So the fact that he got duped by that, I can never remember her name, but the caretaker, the mechanic, is actually hilarious because they're actually more intelligent than humans supposed to be. So, but he lost $500.
Mm-hmm.
So they go back to the mechanic yard that she has where all of her droids are. I thought that was a good scene.
Pit droids again, yeah.
I like how all of her, she's not rich, so all of her droids are like hand-me-down droids. I think that's really cool.
One thing I noticed that like they don't really show because obviously when you have like the films, they're not going to spend so much time on it, but you're actually starting to see like Star Wars like languages and stuff like that within the species. Like in episode 1, you saw like so much talk between the Tusken Raiders. Like you were just sitting there watching the episode and like, oh my god, they're just speaking with the Tusken Raiders for like 2 minutes straight. And now the same thing with the Frog Lady. She was speaking with the Frog Lady. So it was just really cool. So you could like you're exploring these different things that they don't really like emphasize on the movie. So seeing them within the episodes of Mandalorian is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when he's on the ship, he's like, "Look, I don't speak frog," but
exactly.
He's like, "Do you speak Huttese and all these other languages?"
And that's just the humor side of this episode. There's like so much humor in this episode. And I really enjoyed it. That's one thing I enjoyed.
So then
they go back to the ship, and then they head off.
Yeah, they get in the cockpit, and they had that little dialogue where he's like, "Look, I don't speak frog." And then she's all concerned about these eggs or whatever it is. But the child has a different take on these eggs. He just sees food no matter where he goes. We see that a lot in the first season. I mean, I guess he's still in that stage where he has to eat to grow. So he's just always looking for like that. The first thing on his
what it is,
food. Second thing is safety. So if he sees something, I got to try it.
You know, it was so funny because when I first saw him look at the eggs, I was like, oh, maybe he just like sees part of himself in it. You know what I mean? Like by that, I mean like, oh, he sees like another fellow young child, or, you know, like just like a growing stage. So I'm like, oh yeah, maybe like he goes and tries to take care of it. I don't know, some little thing like that. But like that was like completely wrong. He just went right into it. And I thought it was really funny that they did this. They literally put the camera like on the mirror, like on like the mirror of the jar. And you see his face just like take up the entire frame. So that was like really funny. I'm glad that they did that. It just showed his cute side.
And he did the little hand thingy. But he looks for Din. He's like, "Where's Dad at?" Okay, he's not here. And then he uses the Force.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's had a conversation with them to keep that on the down low since they're being hunted. I wonder if he's like, because I feel like the child understands basic English. Or Galactic Standard or whatever they want to call it in Star Wars. So I feel like he's told him like, hey, no Force ever unless it's we're about to die.
Yeah, because he's had some opportunities in episode 1 when all that was going on with Cobb Vanth and him. Baby Yoda easily had a chance. The child easily had a chance to do something within the dragon and all that stuff, which I thought was going to happen, and he didn't. So there could have been like some stuff, and we're seeing again the development, and we'll get into this as the episode, like as we talk more into the episode, but like we see more of the relationship between the child and Mando, both good and bad. You see him like kind of, Mando kind of yelling at him a little bit, like getting angry at him, no matter how like adorable he is. So you see a little bit of both sides. So that's pretty cool.
When he used the jetpack trick at the beginning, like Baby Yoda looks up to him like, dude, that was kind of messed up. And he's like, he does a shoulder shrug. I do remember that now. Yeah, because he hits the button and he flies up. And then Baby Yoda looks up and he's like, what? And then it's like almost like he was disappointed, but never move along.
Yeah. And that kind of like, it scares me in a bit. I won't lie to you, because I told you last time, I was like, what if like Boba, if we do get Boba like later in the series, which I'm sure we will, and later in episodes, what if he like butts in this relationship between those two? What if he like gets in the middle of their relationship? That could there could be an emotional roller coaster between these two. So that would be kind of crazy. I think.
Yeah, they have a lot of potential routes they can take with Bubba, how the child has grown on Din and vice versa. And then I didn't want to believe it. You know, everybody keeps saying like, what if Yoda or what if the child is going to turn like basically evil just because he doesn't know right from wrong, just because he sees Din. But then the more we go along with it, he is getting a little darker side, and maybe that's where Ahsoka would come in and show him the right way. Like, hey, I'll be the mom side.
I'm really careful with all this. I am. But if Ahsoka for some reason did come in, I think she would be the one, yes, to like really keep that child grounded. Not only that, she would be like the mother figure. Not only that, but like teach Din everything about the child, teach everything about the species, because Ahsoka obviously was with Yoda the entire time and knows all about this. So again, that's just all up in the air.
Yeah, whenever she sees the child, she's gonna have like a whoa moment. Like that's Yoda's species. We don't see many of those, which I think is gonna be really cool.
Yeah. So that's up in the air. So moving forward, they go on the ship, then they get the 2 New Republic X-Wings coming in, trying to stop them. And of course, you have the one and only Dave Filoni.
Powerful
Dave
back
again, and it was really funny because after season 1, he was. If you watch the gallery, he was talking about how nervous he was just from being on screen for like 2 seconds. So the fact that they brought him back again was really cool. And if you guys don't know, Dave Filoni is the one of the directors for The Mandalorian and the director of one of the executive producers and one of the director of the Clone Wars as well. Especially for season 7.
The his character name in the show is Trapper Wolf, and they got that nod from Commander Wolf.
Yeah.
And so if you pause it on his helmet, he's got the two wolf ears on his helmet.
Everywhere Filoni goes, he always wears his wolf shirt and his cowboy hat, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I mean, what a super fan, man, and how lucky we are to have him pretty much now replace George Lucas. So
yeah, he is our George Lucas, literally.
Yeah, this era is George Lucas for sure.
So they stop Mando. Frog Lady tries to talk. He tells him basically to shut up. Funny.
He's just, which I didn't at the time. I didn't understand like why. What's the big deal? Like just she's not like an illegal transport. I don't think they need a license to transport people. But he was definitely adamant for her to shut up. And I was like, well, maybe the Republic can help you. And then all of a sudden they're like, can you go to channel 2? And then they were like, oh, they got something on him.
Yeah.
And then they go and they lock their S-foils into attack position.
Just a high-speed chase. So that was really funny. I mean, that was a really cool sequence. And we saw that in the trailer. And what I'm noticing is that like majority of the things that we've already seen in the trailer has already shown. Like, we didn't see that many events many different events within the 2 trailers that we got. And I'd say over half of them have already been shown within the first 2 episodes. So they did that on purpose. And it's actually a very good thing because that just leaves us with 6 more episodes with nothing we know about. The only thing that I could possibly imagine that we're missing, which, by the way, we'll talk about it later, but as it looks, I think that's going to be next episode, is when he's on the docks with Sasha Banks. And the entire sequence with the scout troopers in their hangar on the speeder bikes and stuff like that. So
yeah, there's not much left, and I love trailers just because you get that little bit of adrenaline rush when you watch them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think trailers are bad. Like if you went in with no expectations and you're just like, what's going to happen? I think you have a much better viewing experience. So these last 6 episodes now are going to be pretty intense. And
not only that, they said that we're going to get heavy Darksaber action. It's been 2 episodes and we have seen nothing with the Darksaber at all. And they said we're going to get heavy Darksaber action. So we're in for a surprise. So yes, this episode may have been considered a filler, but I think it's just they were bound to have it. There was fillers in season 1. I think there was a few, as a matter of fact, that were just dull, but that's fine. Like I think episode 3 is just going to come out even hotter. So.
It's just a side quest. It's the Odyssey of Din Djarin. So when you look at it, like we all hope it goes 5, 6, 7 seasons. So at the end of it, he's gonna have one massive story.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sounds. I wanted to get into the sounds of the chase between the X-wings and the Razor Crest. I just can't get over how good they are. Like when he turns off his engine, and then they're using so much like old sounds from the original trilogy. There was a pod racer sound in it.
I didn't pay attention to that. That's crazy.
You just hear the frog lady in the background screaming though, but
yeah, of course.
She's like, "What's going on?"
I didn't notice that. I'm gonna look back on that because I've watched it twice. You've watched it twice.
Yeah.
Usually, when the first time I watch an episode or a film in Star Wars, it's really just emotion, and the second time I kind of cool down, and the third time it's really where I can like lock in, like pay attention to the details. I'll pause like the episode, so I'm gonna look back on it. That's crazy.
When you rewatch the Marshall episode when Cobb Vanth and Din are escaping from the Crate Dragon when they were already up on the hill fighting him. And then they drop down back into the field. The sound of the jetpack is the same sound as Slave One in when he's flying through the minefield of Geonosis. So it's kind of like a nod to Jango Fett there. So they always use sounds like that for other little Easter eggs, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
But then Din, who is just a average Joe, thinks that he can Anakin Skywalker his Razor Crest through a canyon, which is not the case. He's not a good pilot.
That is an Anakin type of move. But they survive. They make it. They get out of it. They get out of it alive. They crash right into the pit there. It just goes right down beneath. And they get stuck there. And then obviously the frog lady's freaking out. And he has to go take care of the ship. One thing that I thought, well, we'll get to that in a second. But I was going to talk about how the frog lady used the droid to communicate with him as a translator. I thought that was really interesting as well. And usually when they give in the previews before the episode starts, they give like a little rerun. I was wondering, I was like, why is that episode? Why was I think it was episode 6? Why is that specifically in there? I'm like, it has to correlate somehow, and of course it did.
If there's any episode that you need to watch before this one, if that's a thing, it is the prison break, because they refer to it, the X-wing pilots refer to it. She uses the droid, and then the X-wing pilots refer to it again at the end. Yeah,
and we get that was the episode we got like the most of the New Republic. We see the most, because that's like not an era that's touched on so much. Like we talked about that last time. Not like insane amount within the films, and obviously not within the films, but within series or anything like that. So that was a huge thing. We saw a little bit of the New Republic, and now a little more of this episode, referring back to the prisoner episode.
So they're crash landed, and then he's like, "I'm gonna go find your eggs," and that's when we first really get is when the child is like not into the cabin, and he's looking for the eggs,
just doing his own thing, literally. Yeah. And it's like kind of like funny because like this is how I look at it. It's like, like when you're growing up as a kid, like when you get older, you go through a phase where you tend not to listen, and you just tend to just do your own thing. And like I feel like we're getting a character development with the child. Now we're getting a little bit of him like, nah, I don't need to listen. Let me just my own thing. I'm hungry. I just want to look around, explore. And that's what he does throughout the entire episode. And Din constantly has to run after him. So I thought that was like really funny.
Yeah, he's always, Din is at the point now where he can't focus on himself and what's in front of him. He always has to have a little piece of his mind focused on the child. And I'm curious to see, I think by the end of this season, we're going to see Din get in, which the child always gets him in trouble because everybody's hunting him. But I think there's going to be a scene in the next few episodes where the child literally gets him in a situation where it looks like he's not going to get out of. And I think it's going to be a real eye opener for Din. He's like, okay, I got to reel this child in if he's going to stay with me.
I agree. That would be, because it seems like it's just like a roller coaster, because it's a roller coaster of emotions, because one second you see Din like getting upset at him, and then the next second you see when they felt like they were stuck there, this is just fast forwarding a little bit, when the child literally like hugs him tight when they rest, hold him tight, and everyone, like we were watching during the watch party, everyone was just saying how sweet that was. And not only that, you also see a little bit of their relationship as well when they have their small little cabin that you also saw during that prison episode. They have that little cabin, and they're like, okay, time to get some rest. Mando takes like the bottom bunk, and the child takes the top bunk. So that was like kind of funny as well. And I think, like I said, I just really think that this episode really just gave a lot of character development to get you more attached to these characters, to get you even more attached to the child than you already were. And that could go one of two ways. And I don't know why, but I just feel like they're going to have it's just going to be an emotional roller coaster throughout the season between those two, and the relationship might get tested.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely going to get tested. I think they really grew together as a clan of two.
Yeah.
And then you also still see like the funny thing to me is he gets onto him. He's like, no, do not eat these, but he doesn't take the egg from him. He still lets him just have the egg. So he still like is always going to be, he wants the child to be fed. He's like, okay, go, you eat this one, but no more, right? And I was like, how are you just going to let this baby eat the egg and then just not even try to tell this
exactly.
He just ate one of the possible kids? Because I would imagine she has a count. Okay, there's 17 eggs in here. Why is there 16 now?
It was way less than 6. Like that kid ate like at least 5 of them. Like a good
just
chunk
snack
of them. One by one.
So then right after they all go to sleep, she's had enough. She's had enough. She reprograms the assassin droid from the prison break, and then Din's like pulls his gun, points it right at the droid, thinking he's awake somehow. But it's
he's about droids. He has a thing for droids. So that's like, it kind of brought that back from season 1.
He's got the fear of droids, which brings a more human element to him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like we're halfway through this, and I personally thought that they could have did the same episode, but not use the frog lady. I didn't really like the design or.
I didn't care. I didn't care for the frog lady whatsoever. I won't lie. I did love the episode, but I was very disappointed with just one thing: is that icy planet, that snowy planet. I really was sold that it was Elam, or it was something so significant. And who knows? Maybe it's brought back. I don't know. We never know. Maybe it has a meaning. Maybe it is a planet. We don't know. I don't know. But I was just so sold. Like, wow, that could be them searching for the Kyber crystal, or that could be them searching for other Mandalorians. Maybe it's not Elam. Maybe it's another where the Mandalorian stronghold was. Something like that. Yeah.
And everybody had their planet that they wanted it to be.
I know,
and it just turned out to be. So as far as we know right now, nothing. Which was. I guess disappointing is the word. I mean, it's no big deal, but everybody wanted it to be. What I told you in a DM was we wanted it to be a planet that we knew and we could keep exploring. Is what we wanted it to be.
But this is what I try to say. Like, you with Star Wars, you got to be careful with your expectations, because more so than not, you're going to be disappointed, than you're going to get what you want. But anyways, wakes him up, speaks with the droid. Mando obviously takes an aggressive approach, like he always does. And then moving forward, they go out to fix the ship. And then I think the next thing is she's in the tub, just hanging out.
Yeah. So he's fixing the ship, but then Baby Yoda's like, "Hey," and then he's like, he just blows him off, like, like, get back in the ship.
Yeah.
And Baby Yoda's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go find her myself. And then when he sees him walking back to the ship, they go over there and do that. He kneels, and then Baby Yoda's like, "Look, Dad, I'm trying to show you."
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I put this from that point forward is like the Empire Strikes Back scene on the asteroid. Like it's they have their ship. You don't really want to go outside, but they do anyways. And then when they go outside, it causes them a problem. So Han shoots the rocky ground.
Yeah.
Turns into be the asteroid beast. Mm-hmm. And then in this one, the girl wants to go find this hot tub, this hot springs, and then it just causes them more problem after she's the one that wants to get off the rock.
That's a very good parallel. That's a really good parallel, because that's exactly how it is. And it's like, I think like this whole episode was just literally just issues being brought upon Mando. Like there was just nothing but issues coming his way. And a lot of it was caused by the child, and he has to keep running after him and keeps having to take care of things, take care of the ship, take care of the kid, take care of the frog lady, this and that. Take care in the beginning of this episode, the child's life is literally at risk right in front of his hand. So you see him go through like a roller coaster of an episode. But then they see her, and he's automatically already picking up all the eggs and putting into the jar, saying like, "No, look, we got to get out of here." It's just like we don't have time for this. Then again, the child, the asset, just does his own thing, wanders off, and then gets into more trouble. And like you said, he's always looking for stuff to eat. He opens one of those little hatches up, puts it in his mouth. And by the way, a lot of people had mixed reactions. I saw on Twitter, a lot of people had mixed reactions about that. Like a lot of people, I didn't mind it. Like obviously it was a little bit gross, but like whatever, dude. It's just like he should like. Yeah, I felt. Yeah, go ahead.
Whoever was writing this episode is just a Ridley Scott fan. It was a good nod to the Alien movies. Yeah. I mean, textbook alien scare. Like you mess with the first egg, and then the rest are going to hatch, and then you also get mom and dad to come out and try to save the kids. And I personally, from that point on, I thought the episode was great. It's a little slow dragging at first, but yeah, once we get to that particular part, I had a lot of fun. I just don't. He picks the child just runs to him. That's what you mentioned too. He just runs really quick.
He like slides, and that's like something that we never saw. And that's like actually like if you're one of the fans that really is in love, like because I know so many people that like haven't watched Star Wars at all, but that just love the child. And if you're one of those fans that just are obsessed with the child, love everything about him, you had a moment there where your heart just like sunk because like he was just sliding over there, whining and crying. It was like it was adorable. So. That was really funny. He runs right to his father, basically. And you see throughout the entire episode, he just wants to be next to his father. He knows he messed up. And then from there, all hell breaks loose. Yeah. All the spiders start coming in. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of them. And it did have me on edge for a little bit. And then you just saw the big spider, Mama Spider. And that's where, I really want you to show what you were showing me right before the podcast, this episode started.
So that spider isn't just something they made for this episode. It's an original piece of artwork from Ralph McQuarrie's archive that he made in the 70s. So you have in this left corner here, it's either Star Killer, Han Solo, or Luke, whatever he was at the time.
Yeah.
And then that is they literally took it. They didn't change one thing. You got the small eggs here. So I think the more they refer to Ralph McQuarrie, who to me is right on. You have George Lucas here, and then Ralph McQuarrie's right here. Everything that George Lucas had in his brain, he had to get out in art. He can only describe something so well. It was Ralph McQuarrie who gave us everything. Like literally everything we have in Star Wars has a little bit of Ralph McQuarrie in it, which is awesome.
And also Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine's Throne. That was a big thing. That was something that was originally from him. So that was really cool as well. So a lot of the recent stuff in Star Wars, they're really bringing it back from the archive, like literally from the archive. So that's like really cool. Moving forward. So again, they got to get out of there. I really thought, that's why I wasn't surprised when he used this, when Mando used basically like his flamethrower. I was waiting to use it any second. I was like, why hasn't he done this already? He kind of takes a pause in the beginning. He just kind of gets like a feel for everything, stares at everything, what's going on. Takes a close look, then he takes off. He doesn't really react fast enough. I was like kind of surprised at that.
Yeah, big pause, like almost too long of a pause, almost cost him everything.
Literally. Yeah.
I love that you get to see just him like fighting a little bit with his blaster, using those trip mines or whatever he has in his pocket. But I thought come on, we all know from playing video games or just whatever, you just use your flamethrower. But the intro, him bringing out the flamethrower was just super well done. He just brings it up. You see the little flame, like he's got his little BB-8 lighter, and then just roast them. So I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, takes off, fights him off, tries back and forth. Finally gets that big spider, and I was like, okay, yeah, he got it. Like that's Mando right there. That's the Mandalorian I know. Like same thing with Episode 1 when he took down the dragon. Completely like broke them into bits. So that was like the same thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're good. But then you go back and forth, and obviously that big spider is not gone whatsoever. You think for a second that it is, but it's not. They head back to the ship. They're all crawling in there one by one. That kind of gave me the chills just seeing all of that. Yeah. And then they get into the cockpit, and then the Frog Lady steps up. He's trying to fight all of them off. Frog Lady steps up and takes things into her own hands, grabs the blaster, shoots right above the baby's head.
Luckily, she's a good shot. I mean,
she clearly has aim. And then he Din looks at her like like surprised in a way. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like so you have skills basically. So you.
You can maybe I'll end up giving you a blaster if we need it for the future.
Yeah, and then after that, he just wipes them all down. And again, I'm really surprised about. They show the child up close. I thought he was going to step in again, and he still has not stepped into anything to save him. Nothing. So that conversation that you said they might have had, that could have been something off screen that we don't know about. That could be like perhaps said later on throughout the episodes.
Yeah, and to end the parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before so he's like, okay, we got to get out of here. Whatever the Razor Crest is what it is. Like, we can't stay here anymore. So he turns it on, and then he's about halfway up, and then in comes the mom arachnid, and just lands right on top. And then to end the parallel, the Minok in Empire Strikes Back in the window, and it scares Princess Leia, is like the exact same part of the window in the Falcon as it is in the Razor Crest. And he puts the mouth part on, and then it ends the parallel right there. So
I
think it's a good nod to Empire Strikes Back with the artwork, and then the asteroid parallel as well.
I'm glad I wore this shirt then today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing an Optimus Prime, not Star Wars.
So that's really cool that you say that, because like, you said in episode 1 how much Old Republic relations there were, and in this episode now there's a lot of Empire Strikes Back parallels and kind of nods. So you get a little bit of both, and maybe we see more throughout the episodes. So that would be really cool with different films or different eras in Star Wars. Yeah,
they're going to be tying everything in, and it's exciting to see what they do next. I'm hoping, we just because they're literally doing everything. People might have their different opinions with the sequel trilogy, but the character that Din kills with the jetpack at the beginning of the episode, when Rey is scrubbing her in The Force Awakens, she's scrubbing her scrap metal off. The one that touches her shoulder and she like jump scares is that same species. That's the first time we've seen it. So they're going to bring everything in, whether fans like the movie or not. I even expect Last Jedi to come in somehow. Because, Disney's not going to not use material that they already have established. That's just how it's going to be.
Because of how much mixed feelings the sequels got, The Mandalorian, I'm still a firm believer in this. Obviously, we were wrong about this perhaps being the future Starkiller base, which is Elam, that icy planet. But I still think for a lot of reasons, and somehow or another, they're going to tie this into the sequels because it takes place right before it, whether that be this season, later on in the seasons. It's going to give fans more of an appreciation than for the sequels. I feel like somehow or another they're going to tie it in.
Yeah, if they had a plan for the sequel trilogy to have spinoffs, I think the plan is now canceled, and now they're just going to use Mandalorian, and they're going to feed off the sequel trilogy through Mandalorian. But Mandalorian's now going to be it's their flagship now. Whether because I love Force Awakens and I liked Rise of Skywalker. I have my problems with Last Jedi, but it's still visually stunning. But Disney now sees that too, I believe. So they're going to use Mandalorian, and then the spinoffs are just going to start coming from the Mandalorian. I don't think we'll get a Poe spinoff or anything like that. They might use Rey in the future, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So then the creature looks like he's going to get in the cockpit. He shatters the shield, the windshield, and then you're like, well, here's Baby Yoda's time to shine. He's about to use some force crunching power and kill this thing.
And doesn't end up doing so.
Dave Filoni comes in with his co-pilot. I think that's pretty cool. Someone mentioned earlier in the comments that they're using the A280s. Like, so
I noticed that right away.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I had no idea that it was going to be Dave Filoni and his fellow New Republic pilot. I literally thought, my heart dropped, and I was like, oh my god, that's Bo-Katan. Like, I went right to the assumption, like, oh, that's Bo. That has to be someone like important. And it was them again. I was like, they definitely did something along the lines to keep you on edge a little bit with that. But yeah, you saw the A280s right away, and I use that we use it every single day in Battlefront 2. So that was like really cool. And like now after watching that, I'm like, I actually really, really, really need a replica of one of those, like a life-size replica, because that was really cool.
Yeah, if you're a Star Wars Battlefront player, the A280 we all know is the gun to go to, at least.
At least for the assault class.
Assault class. If you play Supremacy or anything like that, that's what you're going to need. So that was a really good nod for us being Battlefront 2 streamers.
Yeah.
I just love. I mean, they just do such a good job. I mean, the X-wings look good. The set looks good. When the X-wings fly away and Din's just standing there in the Razor Crest. I mean, everything looks like you could just reach through the screen and be there. Like there's no, that looks kind of odd. I just thought it's super well done.
I think it's really interesting what you said about the sounds though, because that's like something I did not pay attention to for some reason. Like I just didn't, and like that's something that like I'm really curious to go back on. X-wing blaster sounds are unique. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to that. I was just so focused in the moment on like what was going on. Like I didn't pay attention to the sounds really. It's just that's really cool that you pointed that out.
Yeah, I didn't catch that part though. So that's pretty cool that
Mm-hmm.
Andrew. So people who are not watching the live stream, if you're listening to it, Andrew says the X-wing blasters are unique. So when he's in the cockpit, he says you can pretty much clearly tell that they're X-wing. So that's something that we can go back and watch and learn from. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The episode basically kind of wraps up around there. In a sense, they finish off. They clear everything up. They fix the ship. They come to a mutual agreement with the New Republic. Yeah. The two pilots with Dave Filoni.
Yeah, the non-Dave Filoni pilot gets most of the screen time here, and he's telling Din, he's like, "Hey, we ran your name. You have an arrest warrant, but you saved Lieutenant Davin from the New Republic prison cruiser, whatever it's called." And if you don't remember, that's the guy that Matt Lanner plays, the voice of Anakin Skywalker. He plays that character. So, which is they just keep referring back to old episodes to keep the story like, hey, this is the totality of the story. I mean, you have to watch all these episodes, and then by the end, you're just going to have hopefully a 18-hour, 20-hour movie of Din Djarin and the child, which is really good.
It's just nothing but content. So then they start to take. I know I saw that. They come back. They fix everything up. Frog. I mean, I do want to say this, and this is something that we skip, which is really crazy because we say this a lot in season 1. The frog lady was like, "Oh, I thought you were a Mandalorian. You're a person. I thought you're a man of code." So I think right after that, that's when the tides shift in the episode. I think that was like really the peak right there, and that's when Mando really took a role of like, okay, like I can't like just because I've been out on my own and I haven't been around my people, my creed, the Mandalorians, in for a long time, like covert or anything like that. Like I still have to stick to what I know, like what my religion is. So I thought that was really interesting because again, you haven't seen him around any Mandalorian. Like even in episode 1. In episode 1, Cobb Vanth wasn't a Mandalorian. He hasn't seen a Mandalorian in the last one was the armor when he last parted. So, and this is someone that has been raised with the Mandalorians his entire childhood. They took him in. He was raised. So all he knows. So the last time he was really was when he was on alone was when he was in that bunker, just for that short amount of time. So I thought that was really interesting. So, I think
because he's a foundling. When someone challenges his Mandalorian heritage, he really, it's a stab in the chest. So once she said that, he's like, and he just stands up, gets his toolbox, and he walks right outside. Did not care to sleep anymore. He's like, all right, I'm going to prove her wrong. I'm going to fix this ship, and we're getting out of here. Yeah. And then from that moment forward, too, because he kept referring to her as a frog, never wanted to get her name or anything. And then from once he was put online with as being a Mandalorian, then he was her caretaker as well. He put the eggs on his back to run from the spiders. He did everything for her.
He takes it personally, and it's like that's again. I said the last time we spoke was that's that father figure that he's trying to take the role of, and he's developed that a lot with being with the child all the time. So now it's like, I have to be the man in this triangle right here, and I have to make sure I take care of both of these people. And he did that a lot. He did that a lot in that one episode with the villagers. So I see a lot of parallels and similarities between that episode as well. So
yeah, that's I think the overall theme is he does some dark things to get to where he needs to, but once someone of good character, like bad characters, he will take them out, no question, doesn't care about anything. They're going to die. But if they have somewhat good qualities to them, he'll go above and beyond to fix the problem, whatever it is. The villagers, last episode with the Tusken Raiders and Mos Pelgo villagers. He just like he could have easily killed Cobb, but nope, I'll help you defeat the Crate Dragon. Okay, and then this episode, the frog lady, he's like, okay, I'll help you, even though he doesn't really need to. He could just there's another path to finding Mandalorians. He just decides to help her because he has that goodness in him.
Yeah. And he still has a kind heart, no matter how tough he may seem on the outside. At the end of the day, he is caring. He is a father to this child everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So,
and that's really the conclusion to the episode. And then the theme is, the father figure of the child, and then how attached is he once things start really moving forward? Is he going to just allow these what we think is the future characters that come in to take the child, or if is he gonna stand up and say no, he's with me now? So we got a lot of past.
We missed one part though at the end when he took the last egg to eat the last egg. So I thought that was really funny. I
didn't even notice that on my first watch through. When I was watching it my second one, he's just like, and I was like, you just gave it, like he didn't knew he had that egg. There's no way he didn't. So I thought that was funny. He's just like, well, as long as she's not counting the eggs, I mean, you could have 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
Yeah. And that was funny. And I think like fans finished that up. It's compared to episode 1. When fans left episode 1, they were like, oh, and their heart was racing. Episode 2, it was like just like a smile, just like laughing. At least that's how I felt. And I was laughing afterwards. It was just a cute, fun episode. You got a little bit on edge, a little bit with the spiders and stuff like that on the run. But it was, again, overall, I feel like the episode was great for character development between the two, the relationship, exploring different, it wasn't I still don't think it was the best in terms of lore. But seeing this frog lady and stuff like that, it could, give some development to other creatures that we don't know in the Star Wars universe or haven't seen before. But I do think it was more of a filler episode. I will say that. I think it was a filler episode. I think for episode 3, I think we'll get something a lot larger. I think we'll get something more intense, high action pack, because that's what we know Mandalorian to be. But I think patience is good. And there has been some speculation of what episode 11 is going to contain. Episode 3, I mean. And I've seen some, rumors of descriptions and stuff like that. And I really believe that will be the episode that we see within the docks that we see in the episode, in the trailer, the docks with possibly Sasha Banks, which we don't know who she is. Right.
And since, we all thought that she was a Jedi sorcerer, but now that if you put the trailer pieces together in the story, it could be that she's another Mandalorian, because he's there to. It's confirmed that Mandalorians are supposed to be on this planet if you take the word of Frog Lady's husband.
Mm-hmm.
So if she is a Jedi, it's weird that the Jedi and the Mandalorians are on the same backwater planet that obviously isn't Mon Cal like everybody thought it was going to be.
Wouldn't make sense. Could be Sabine Wren. Could, but it's I don't know. I feel like for me, I don't know why. It's just it didn't seem like in the trailer they said Jedi sorcerers, and that's when they showed her.
Yeah.
I think that they're just tooling with us a little bit within that.
Exactly.
They're just, like, keeping us on edge. I know Inquisitors weren't really around during that time, but that was something that I kept in mind. Maybe an Inquisitor, someone maybe that was just like seeking a common goal. Possibly, it could be Sabine though. It could be Sabine.
That's the first time I ever thought about that. Like,
it looks like her.
Yeah, we're looking for Jedi, and the Jedi are around, but there has to be some evil Force users still out there. The remnants of the whatever Sidious had that we might not know about, the Inquisitors, if there's any left, because maybe that's how they bring in Cal Kestis, which I still think they're going to do.
Or it could be something along the lines, Moff Gideon is obviously going to be after Mando. He has a price on his head in a way. How Moff Gideon basically, as it looks like the Empire is still strong. If I didn't know about the Death Star 2 and like the war ending and everything, I would still think, based on season 1, that in episode 8 the Empire looks still strong. They look like they still have reinforcements, everything. That could be someone that Moff Gideon is sending to,
Yeah.
maybe go after him. So it could be stuff like that, and it could be an Inquisitor. You never know, because the Inquisitors in the Empire were like this. They were. So
I would definitely not be surprised if Moff. Actually, I'd be actually surprised if he did not have lackeys to do his bidding. So every main villain never does things himself if he can avoid it. So
yeah,
he'll have underlings and more than just Death Troopers, because that's what he has right now. So he's got to have somebody else.
Death Troopers, Stormtroopers. You see the Scout Troopers. So we'll see. We'll see. He has an army, and this Darksaber. I don't know, man. I'm just waiting on the Darksaber action that we said we're going to get. I feel like it's going to be any episode now, but I'm waiting for it.
We're already 2 in. We only get 6 left, so we're right around the corner of all these insane plot lines that we are going to happen. Like, it's not just speculation at this point; it has to happen. And I'm guessing. I thought last year that they released the title names early, but at least I haven't been finding any info, so I don't even know if these titles called speculation.
There has been speculation for episode 3, this upcoming episode, in terms of like what it may be, like in terms of the details, but in terms of like the titles, I haven't seen anything that like looked the same as before, as that was the rumors.
Yeah.
So
there are a few questions in the chat. I think we are going to have a Q&A segment in this, but we just haven't done it yet. So I think next episode we'll make sure we post in our Discords or streams like, hey, what's some questions, and then we'll answer them on the podcast. But
throughout the week.
So the first one will be completely off topic. We'll answer a few and then we'll wrap it up there. So Austin, if you have that question, go ahead and ask it. But the one that we're about Gucci Maid says, I have a question. What do you guys think about this? Did Mace beat Palpatine, or did Palpatine let Mace win? I'm very adamant that Mace beat Palpatine here.
I'm the opposite. I think Palpatine let him win. Palpatine plotted it from the beginning.
I think Palpatine plotted that Anakin was going to save him, and he knew he needed to be saved. I don't think that he was capable of beating him, because when you look at Sith versus Jedi, for some reason I have like the Jedi, the most powerful Jedi is always more powerful than the Sith. And at the time, Mace Windu's the champion of the Jedi Order. Yoda's old. An 800-year-old Yoda, hands down champion. But Mace Windu, like if Yoda died that day, Mace Windu would take over as Grand Master. So I feel like the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, I can't see him losing to Palpatine. And I can't remember what George made a statement about it. And I don't want to be wrong here, so I'm not going to say the exact statement. But he's confirmed one way or the other. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I think Mace beat him. And had they been younger, or had they had better technology back then, it would have been a funner duel. And then they would have showed Mace's ability as the best swordsman in the Jedi Order better.
Yeah. I still think, well, I don't know. I used to agree with you on that, but then I looked more into depth with it, and I really thought, and a lot of people within the community brought this to my attention. That's why I changed my opinion on it. I look back on it, I'm like, if Palpatine could plot everything since the start of episode 1, even before that, then he absolutely plotted this as well, in terms of everything, and from the beginning, and Anakin walking into that moment. I'm sure he knew it. I'm sure he sensed it or something. He put himself in a position so Anakin can be turned. Because if Palpatine was in the dominant position there, and he was killing Mace, Anakin wouldn't have turned for what? Like he has no motivation to turn. Right. He has no motivation to save Palpatine. What is he going to save Mace after everything that Mace did to him? No.
So going off this question into another thing that's off topic, So Palpatine versus Yoda. Everyone either says it's a draw or Palpatine won. And I'm in the boat. It's a draw. And then Palpatine has all this holocron database on the Clone Wars. So he has footage of Yoda. He knows exactly how Yoda fights. If Yoda had the same preparation that Palpatine had going into that fight, like he doesn't know he can use Force Lightning. He just he assumes. Because Count Dooku could use it, but he doesn't know any of his other abilities. He doesn't know how good of a swordsman he is. So he goes in blind. Palpatine has all the knowledge on Yoda. He's been watching him for years. Data recordings on the Clone Wars, exactly how he moves. I think Yoda beats him fairly easy. I mean, I might be biased here, but I think he beats him fairly easy.
Okay, 2 questions. First question, what happens if the roles were switched? What happens if Obi-Wan faced Palpatine? What happens if Yoda faced Anakin? What would happen? What would have happened?
So Obi-Wan's not beating Palps. We see it time and time again that Obi-Wan is powerful, but he's not. He lost to Count Dooku pretty easily. He beats Maul out of anger, which I thought they could do. They could have done a little bit better job of showing that for Kenobi. Maybe they get into that in the Kenobi series. And then when he fights Anakin, he uses Anakin's anger against him and just plays defense the whole time, and then finally catches him off guard. Yoda beats Anakin, man. There's no way Anakin can deal with the rapidness and speed of Yoda.
I'm glad we agree on that. Okay.
So then now you have a Yoda and a Palpatine and no underlings pretty much. And I think that you still have the same outcome. I don't think Yoda goes back to Coruscant and tries to face Palpatine at that point. I think he just goes back to Dagobah with because so Padme would be there, so he would just take Padme to oh man, what's that name? What's the name of that asteroid belt where they take Padme and where she dies? It starts with an M, I think. But so yeah, you had the same outcome. Just Kenobi's not alive and Anakin's just dead. He's not Darth Vader because that's pretty brutal what Kenobi does to Anakin. I don't think Yoda's that brutal. He just kills him straight up.
Does that with the clones? But okay, yeah, literally that's what I was like. This is going to be my next question. Okay, and like this is just the last one I think I want to ask. In season 7, Siege of Mandalore, if Ahsoka speaks to Anakin, because I mean, Yoda asked Ahsoka, "Hey, do you want anything left you want to say to Anakin?" She's like, "No, I'll tell him when I see him." Same thing with Obi-Wan. You know, Obi-Wan doesn't communicate with Anakin after that because that was when Obi-Wan had the hood on. That was when Obi-Wan was heading towards Utapau. If Ahsoka does speak to Anakin before Order 66, does he turn? That's the last thing I'd like.
Yeah, those
your thoughts.
Yes, I mean that's maybe a whole podcast on itself, but so like even if Ahsoka listened to Maul, like she was just like no Maul, you're wrong. Even if she teamed up with for Maul for a little bit, it could have stopped Order 66. I think. I mean, everybody played a role for Order 66 to happen in Anakin's downfall, whether they liked it or had good intentions. Like obviously, Ahsoka never once had bad intentions, but she just made the wrong choices. Like, should have talked to Anakin more while they were on the ship. Should have told Kenobi like, "Hey, do you have a message?" And then, man, I can't even remember, but was it in the Clone Wars where it's a hologram and then Yoda's like, "More to say, have you?" And then Ahsoka's like, no,
that's exactly. Yeah, that was that's what I was saying. That could have been an opportunity for her to say something to him. Because as her and Rex walked in, that was as soon as Anakin left.
Yeah. Because if Ahsoka just like, I mean, I don't get why people don't want to tell Yoda things. Like Yoda, like why would Anakin not go to Yoda after he killed the Tusken Raiders? Like, look, Yoda, and I really messed up here. I need your advice. What do I do? Like Yoda's not gonna. I don't see Yoda as a character that's gonna ban him from the Jedi Order or look down on him. He's gonna be like, "You did what? Okay, this is what we need to do to fix this." And then he sends him on his own. Like there's a Clone War episode. I can't remember what season, but Yoda goes to Anakin to help him escape because they thought Yoda was having like something wrong with his brain. And then he picks Anakin to help him escape. Like he would tell Anakin like, "Hey, this is what you need to do. Go to this planet, meditate on it, find your path, and then come back." And then maybe Anakin saved. But yeah, everyone's just scared to talk to Yoda. Like he's somebody who's just like gonna judge him or something. I just don't think
That's an interesting comment from Crispy Bacon. Nobody wants to disappoint Yoda. I agree with that in a way, but it's also. I will get obviously. We're gonna have. We're now that I'm looking into this. Like we're gonna have to spend a whole episode on this. But yeah. But it was just on my mind while we were reading these questions. So I was like, yeah. But I did want to say this. I mean, remember that Ahsoka's relationship with Yoda. The last time they spoke, Yoda literally banned her from the Order and then begged her to come back. That was the last time they spoke. So that's like
the resentment.
Yeah, so it's just little things like that. But we'll definitely have to spend a whole episode on this. This is just strictly Mandalorian, but that was an interesting question, so might as well just touch on that a little bit and see the different outcomes.
Good questions. Well, we'll definitely implement Q&A for the next episode. Yeah. Also, depending if next episode is longer or what, because we'd like to keep. Yeah. I mean, we can go for as long as we need to, but we're trying to keep it around this type of time frame.
Yeah. I think. And I mean, for me personally, I felt like this episode was great. Definitely though, for episode 1 there was so much more to talk about though in terms of like what was going on within the episode. This was very a laid back type of filler episode, so we'll see what happens with episode 3. I'm definitely excited for it, and obviously throughout the week you and I will have our streams in which we host these Q&As that want to be submitted, and then at the end of the episode and I think we can start doing that every single week for these episodes to be set at the end of the episode. And not only that, but we'll also have this uploaded on iTunes and Spotify as well for the audio portions of things.
Yeah, definitely. We're working on the audio portion in case people can't watch it live or they like to listen to it at work or in their car. Mm-hmm. So we'll work on that. Yeah, like he said, we're both streaming this week. I don't think there's a day off. I don't think I have a day off from streaming this week. Maybe Monday if I have any day. Make sure you guys follow our YouTubes, our separate YouTubes. He has a Battlefront 2 YouTube. And then I have a Star Wars Lore YouTube channel. The links are all down below. Yeah, guys, if you have any type of feedback, make sure you contact us directly. You know how to contact us. Twitch, Discord, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I mean, we're everywhere. So make sure you get in touch with us. Let us know what we can do better, how to improve the podcast and or our own work. Anything else, bud?
No, that's it for us. All right. That's it.
All right. May the force be with you all.